Dungeons on Third is a homebrew 5th edition campaign and recommended for mature audience. Viewer discretion is advised.
What's up, Delvers? Welcome to this week's episode of Dungeons on Third. The party's picking up after last time, learning from Bobby at Blazing Glaze what exactly has happened in Hemlok since Sam left, how Thaddeus took power, and what Thaddeus has done with that power, and learning about how bad things have really been. Decided that it can't go on any longer, that tomorrow at that speech will be their time to strike, and then asked Bobby to arrange a meeting with anyone he can trust, any other shopkeepers that might be able to help. Agreeing, they all began to part ways, leaving a couple of them to have some free time to explore the inner gates, except for one of them. As things flipped back over towards Silvis, who was still roaming around the outer gates, being flanked by guards, manacled, and being paraded through town, tried rallying a broken people, realizing it was to no avail, started trying to come up with a way to break free, until a mysterious kid gave him the answer in a shape of a key, thus freeing himself, summoning Bigger Diggory, subdued the guards, and showed this is just the strength of one man. Imagine what a city can do. And the people around started looking at him a little differently. The kids couldn't help but to talk about how cool it was, and the giant scorpion, and he just took out the guards. And then with a little mission accomplished, Silvis began setting out to handle the anti-alteration barrier of the inner gate, creating this whole story of a giant man on fire that was eating up the guards, causing the whole platoon to rush out to find it, was left all alone to dispel the gate's magic. During all that, Sam and Son were at Hair Force 1 getting all trimmed and cleaned up. Faulkner and Grayax started going from shop to shop, meeting Altho, D, and Terry in turn, and had a very odd encounter with Terry's raccoon family that was apparently his family's souls attached and tethered to their body. Not really wanting to get too tied into that, wound up buying a trash bin for 20 gold just to ensure that Terry would show up, as the other keeps didn't seem to have a problem with it. And then Komori, who found herself in the life of luxury at the summer slumber, able to finally kick back and relax for one peaceful night. And then as the sun began to set, one by one, they all met up at Bobby's secret location, except for Komori, who chimed in through Neldre. The party and the shopkeepers began to discuss the best way to remove Thaddeus from power and to reveal the truth of that fateful night. And with plans set, they all parted ways to spend the last night preparing for what's to come. And now with that, as everyone begins waking up and stretching, let's start diving back in and see if everyone's able to liberate Hemlok or die trying. You guys definitely see the streets starting to move and pack up towards the
Is Neldre still in the room with us?
Yes.
Yep. As the streets start to get busy and you see the pack of people slowly start to form and move towards the central part of the town.
She'll hear it?
Yeah, you think we yell into Neldre, she'll hear it?
And one by one, you hear bards begin to kick up as music starts to blare throughout the whole town.
By the way, I'm not going to wear this guard uniform. I think I'll still stand out.
Yeah, they would know if a dragonborn's on the roof.
So,
Yeah, that's not normal.
what do y'all do?
I'm gonna start going with the traffic and then getting as close to the stage as I can.
Okay.
I'm gonna skip breakfast.
Okay.
Wait, before we all head out, like, it's...
Y'all, we're all going. This is not a break.
Are we grouping up?
You saying before we leave, like the house? Or...
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to skip the guard uniform.
Yeah, unless you had like a normally tall man also. I probably wouldn't fit really tall. 6'8".
Him and I are both like almost 7 foot tall.
And I've
I don't think a dragonborn
cleared to go into the inner
blend into
circle.
ranks.
Cool. Alright, do y'all think?
You're allowed to just go in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've already been cleared. I have no need for the uniform.
I'll take the captain if you don't want
You can take it, yeah. Because
I'll wear uniform.
I'm
Sam, who
making.
did you want to get in the butcher's ranks?
Am I
Another pirate
doing the
step
tap?
I wanted you. Yeah, that's. I was trying to get
Those two?
both of them, honestly. Yeah, but I was trying to get Son as close to him as possible.
Because dressed up as the guards, I'm sure that'll be a lot easier for them.
Yeah.
I'm definitely like wearing it like halfly, like so I got it over top my shit so I can do the breakaway. Like, yeah, because I'm not wearing this shit.
I'm gonna use Neldre to confirm. Option 3.
3.
Lights.
Yes.
So
Grand
I would
entrance.
assume, as we're getting like prepared.
How many toes does a pseudo dragon have? 3?
Oh,
He'll default.
A whole.
A whole paw.
Safe to say. Just for assumption's sake, we give him the rundown of everything that went down because he wasn't with us.
And then I'm gonna offer up to Sam
Dragon Claw.
that I would have to disguise my face and most of me as your wife. That's let's see. That's why maybe just to get that little extra push. That's why I wanted to ask you first.
Yes.
Do it.
Maybe.
If it comes to it.
If there's a time where it's like, yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how pissed did my lady seem last night? In hindsight, 10? Yeah.
So, what's your guys' plan going forward?
I'm getting Komori's getting as close as she can to the stage while Neldre is staying on Sam.
So as everyone begins filtering in to the manor, Sam, how are you disguising yourself as you're walking through the streets, through the inner gates, getting towards the center, and getting into town through the flood of people?
I'm not really disguised. I mean, I have the mask still on my face because I thought I was supposed to get something from like Alpha, but I never did to help disguise myself. So I'm probably just
The
gonna.
only thing they really had was the disguise kits. You would have probably got one of those. Before heading out, you want Kingston to work up a disguise for you.
Yeah.
Kingston, roll a d20 and add your sleight of hand and proficiency modifier.
Oh, Lord.
Said he has 13, so that's 30. 34.
So, remember in Clone Wars when Obi-Wan faked his death and they transformed his face and he took on the persona of a bounty hunter and he was totally different, dude? You work on Sam for maybe 15 minutes and you just see Kingston, like, kind of starts cracking his knuckle and is like, I got you. And takes Sam off to a room. 15 minutes later, after hearing all this noise and these bowls mixing things and cutting shit and Sam kind of giving weird grunts and groans, you walk out. It's Kingston and someone completely different.
Who is that man?
You don't know who the fuck this man is.
Whose
man is this?
It's my man's.
Sam?
Yes.
I don't know.
It is
I don't
me.
know.
Tis I.
Tis him.
Samuel.
It's just a bunch of latex and makeup and a wig.
I need a mask of some sort, probably.
Okay.
If they're doing that masquerade shit. Maybe also someone to shave the patch off my face.
I got you.
Kingston can probably hook you up with a makeover.
Just a little bit of a face.
Kingston, once again, sleight of hand and proficiency. As you see Kingston crack his knuckles again and drag Sylvis by the collar into the back room.
Unnatural 20.
Unnatural 20. God. After about 15 minutes, Sylvis comes out. Still looks kind of verbalish, but it kind of wound up working into the general look of the costume to where it looks like a human in very intricate costume.
So we have to put the guard uniforms on? Can I roll
That's
for
kind of
the
up to you
guard
guys.
Well, we're both wearing them. He's wearing the cat
Okay, so
uniform.
you
I'm
guys wear
wearing
guard uniforms. You can also do this one with advantage since Sun's basically already providing all the uniforms and the armor and all that.
I also, because I had in the bag from the captain, I gave him my captain's insignia.
Can I also see the, I would have asked Sam, it's like, hey, do you still got that, the itinerary for the guards gifts?
No,
So that, what?
I don't. I gave
You
it
said with
to Butcher.
Yeah.
Butcher's the one organizing all the men on the inside.
So as far as you know, a couple of those guards might be Butcher's men already jumped them and dressed up like them. Speaking of that, let's see how well they're performing.
It's 27.
So,
27.
Sun and Kingston, you guys dressed them like guards. What was your
27.
27. They come walking out, and you guys are like, "Holy fuck, the guards are here!" But then after that, you kind of hear Sun's laugh, and then you two are guards. We got Sam as the tall, buff Orlando Bloom. We got Sylvis in full,
I'm wearing the bright
purple,
purple
like human
vibrant.
costume.
He's full Lil Wayne.
Full Lil Wayne. Okay.
Yes.
Komori and Grey Axe, what are you two doing?
Shiny purple.
I'm blending with the foot traffic, but Neldre's
Are you still wearing the shadow dress?
dressed as nicely as I can be. So
And which mask are you doing?
I'm just doing the general black lace masquerade.
Okay.
I'm going to cast, this lasts for an hour, light on the hem of Sam's cloak, so that way when he pulls it, like, shifts it, it casts light.
Okay, so you're gonna give it a trigger?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll put it where he has to, like, purposefully move it to release the light, essentially.
Okay.
And whatever color purple he designates,
Okay.
and I can do that to 2 other people.
So, as...
And this is through Neldre, kind of, like,
Okay.
scurrying
Yeah.
up.
And then Grey Axe.
I'm just gonna be wearing my the same jacket I've been wearing with the hat. Try to dress up a little bit nicer.
So as you all now disguise, dressed up in your finest attire, Faulkner, what's your fun one?
Obviously, I would have cleaned up all the donut shit. You know, same outfit that I used to enter the district and find, to find party clothes.
Okay.
I'm not really trying to disguise myself as I'm not rousing any suspicion anyway. They let me in. So I'm an average citizen walking into this.
So as you guys all begin to exit one by one at your own pace, begin to enter the general flow of traffic that's actually beginning to grow in volume as the day draws closer towards the speech. As you guys are grouped up, a couple guards come walking up, and they come walking up to Kingston's son. Man, you guys are escorting which royal family at the moment? As he looks over at the assortment of you all. You're escorting
Esteemed
which
guests.
family? Esteemed guests.
Yep.
Alright. Very well. Give a deception check with advantage.
Natural 20.
Woof.
Very well. I would carry on towards the outer edge. It's probably close towards guards and it's the safest.
Sounds good. Thank you.
If you all see any unsavory activity, let us know. And he starts rushing off. He's like, "Hey, Matt, hold up!" And he starts chasing off after some people. But you guys seem to get the right away.
Brown side we go. Oh yeah, you're not there. See.
So it's like Kingston and Son are your personal guards for a moment. As some of you can break off and start going your own way or stay grouped up for the minute, but you guys start getting towards the center gate, start making your way through.
I figure I'm staying with them till we get at
We're
least
following
there.
the path that they told us to kind of go so we can get past it all.
After about a 30-minute walk, Sam, this is bittersweet. You start entering through the large iron gate after walking into the central district. Your stones are all marble bricks with marble archways and a large fountain that sits between the split off for the roads that lead to each manor in the primary court. You guys start going off towards the right and see the large black iron gate with a giant cursive like H as the logo, and start walking through it, and you see the herd of people that one by one's getting checked out as they start walking through the manor's gates. Sam, you look up, you see the 4 stories with the very large structures that kind of seem to rise out like 4 almost castle-like guard towers and start working into the large brick tile roof. Works all the way down the gray stone structure as you walk in to the wood and stone block floor, and you see the large 80-foot ceiling, the buttresses throughout with banners of a quartered off yellow and purple flag that in the middle's got a owl's head that starts breaking down into Celtic knots. And you see candles and torches throughout that are hanging there as you guys get led down the cavern, start passing the grand staircase, avoiding the guards with that natural 20 still carrying on. Kingston and his son are able to finesse and persuade any guards to say, "Hey, we're all fine here, we're good." And you guys would be back here in the mix of the inner gates, so you guys would be just barely on the inside of the door. While as you guys walk in, the grayish figures are the pockets of people, while the people with weapons that are the actual minis are guards. So you guys got roughly 15 or 20 people around you. The people currently sitting at a table are the royal families. Sam, immediately after walking in, you notice that at the table in the far right, you got all the heirs. Getting up here, you got the Earharts. Getting on the left there, you got the Shays. And then at this table here, you got Tiny and that was the page I was looking for.
Sharon.
Yeah, you got Tiny, Sharon, and John sitting there.
John the drunkard?
Mm-hmm.
one large guard standing behind him very closely.
Damn.
And then up here at the grand table, you got Thaddeus, Eliza, and Baron, flanked off by
Benson.
2 guards. Benson, yeah. Flanked off by 2 guards there at the corners.
Where in this crowd is Gamori able to slip to?
You kind of try moving past that threshold, and you get multiple guards that walk up like, hold on, miss, you gotta stay past here. Royal families only allowed. But you may enjoy the feast, the banquet, and in just a couple moments here, we should be starting the speech.
So am I back here?
Okay, so you're gonna go back there. So you're gonna
I would have told her to wait like 4 friggin' seconds.
Because you're probably allowed. Basically, this year's the cutoff line for the
so I can be there?
normal people. Yeah. So
Wow,
that's kind of why all the airs that's why all the airs are kind of kept back there in the shades, kind of mixed in with the upper class, but not so royal people. So as you all start walking into the chamber, and you guys sit there and talk to people one by one, as much people don't really want to talk to, snobby, yuppie kind of folks. One of them walks up to you, Sam. I haven't seen your face in these parts before. You're a new family here. Did you just recently come into some money?
Yeah, you could say that.
You know, if you're looking for any business partners, I'm always interested.
What type of business do you?
I'm usually running trade, imports and exports.
Merchants. Well, I'm in the, I guess you could say merchant trade as well.
Oh, really? Where at? What kind of trade? Are you doing, general wares, items like weapons and armors? Or are you doing specialties like wines and cigars and such like that? Or fabrics and golds or...
Godly plants.
Godly plant? What sort of plant?
It's called spice.
Spice. And you see him start giving you a look and start squinting his eyes narrowly and stiffens up and starts walking off. After about 20 minutes of this, eventually you hear
Yeah.
I'd start making my way up already. Like after I'm like moving up.
Yeah, I'm
Moving up.
definitely.
Where are you guys trying to get to? As you guys see the music start dumbing down.
Where's he? Where's Thaddeus?
Thaddeus
Is he
is
sitting?
right there as finally you guys see Thaddeus, who wasn't really there before, begin walking from behind the throne and walks up to the table. Sam, give me a perception check. Son and Kingston, you two disguised as guards, you're going to try to go how far forward?
We're gonna try to get up there pretty much.
Is he about to speak?
Give me
We should go to the bottom of the steps.
give me a deception. Give me a performance check.
22 on perception, by the way.
You see Thaddeus come walking out, the now all black long hair that's slicked back, the neat trimmed goatee, the scar that's running down his cheek, and his long silver and purple streaked robes comes walking out with rings across every one of his fingers and a large encrusted wine glass. I would like to thank you all for gathering here. It's been another year.
Everyone's always with
Now marks the 7th. So as Thaddeus begins to speak, your performance checks. Son, Kingston, what's your
15.
performance?
15.
You guys begin to try to walk up a little closer. As you make it up towards this threshold on like these side of the pillars before those guards kind of halt you up a bit, like, hey, wait. And you guys notice, you guys look towards Thaddeus, and he gives a glance in your guys' direction, and for some reason, you two feel a force. Like, when he looks at you, you feel it. And then his expression calms. So, my beautiful wife and I, Eliza, would like to thank you all for coming out and for taking time out of your very busy days to join us in our day to mourn for our family that was taken from us by a outsider almost a decade ago. To begin, after Timothy and I were left abandoned as orphans on these streets, Timothy, the talker and the charismatic one, me, the brains, we rose up through the business structure, slowly gaining percentages, making deals and trades before we gained a name. And we finally gained our own fortune where we brought in our own family. Timothy, of course, got a beautiful wife, Aliana. And just a couple years into the marriage, he was taken away from her after a deal gone wrong, and I was too late to save my own brother as he was taken away from this town. But his wife vowed to carry up his traditions and his values while they raised their daughter that had yet to come into this world, Alana. Though she was born, her memories were acquiring too many memories of her father, just old lingering thoughts as she progressed into age. And I vowed to try to fill my brother's place as much as I could. And then one day we began to notice a newcomer in our ranks rise up. A once peasant went by the name of Samuel Goucher. A once compassionate, brave warrior who faced down any threats. My daughter began, well, not my daughter, my niece, but I began to see her as my own. My niece began to get eyes for him, and I would constantly warn her when she got into her teenage years that he was no good, as he started heading off towards the battlefield. And every time I hoped he wouldn't return, because I had a bad feeling about him. But every time he returned a champion, you all praised him. And I could understand he did great deeds for every one of us. He was a kind man. Until you look underneath the cloak. And then after years, I sent a direct force of guards to watch over her that night at the party. And it was on that night that apparently Alana changed the records to Samuel's name, because she wanted him there to guard her. Which, apparently, I found out through inside connections that night he orchestrated a threat to make it seem like he was the grand champion to win over her heart, to begin his plan of sinking his clutches into taking the throne away from her family. Which, after getting picked up by the church and fighting alongside them, sunk his teeth into this very town as he gained respect and you all recognized him. He even began gaining my own respect as I began seeing him like my own son. That's why on that night, it was such a mortal blow. Not only was his character shattered in front of me and we were all proven wrong that it was a wolf in sheep's clothing, my own niece that I considered a daughter, my sister-in-law, the last part of my brother that I had, were taken away from me. So I vowed to stop that threat, but I vowed not to kill him by my own hands when I had the opportunity, but to make sure he went to trial, to make sure he was tried for his acts and could rot, and we all could judge him as a people, as Timothy would have wanted. But he murdered the guards and left. And now I continue this ceremony every year in hopes that one day he might return.
That's when I opened the cloak up.
So a burst of bright purple
The
light.
moment that happens and they all fucking like get to him, like I just fucking move
were
as
the
quickly
other
as I
two
can
that
up
I
to the
hit?
front. Low-key acting like I'm trying to like protect him, but like you know what I'm trying to do. Yeah. Oh no, it's over when it starts because me and her just thought it'd be an advantageous fucking position because I'm gonna just hit the tap and she'll probably be like stab. Like,
Real quick.
I'm just whipping up the sword, just
wait for the fight to start.
That whole speech, Kamori's like staring at Sam, waiting for the
Waiting
finger
for the-
gun signal
Oh yeah.
for the okay to Eldritch Blast.
Okay, as
I can't lie, it's
Sam,
probably the entire
you
team
start
just like gritting
busting
their teeth
through
just,
the
like,
doors
my
and start
camera.
shoving people aside as you finally get to the front of the crowd and begin whipping the cloak off past your chest, which activates the light spell, and this purplish, bright, radiant glow encompasses the whole area around you, gaining everyone's attention as you see Thaddeus's hand that was swirling that glass of wine finally stop. And his attention goes to you, and you see Eliza drop her fork and Benson smile.
I'm gonna point both my fingers right at his wife, and
His wife, which is the
Tight.
signal.
she's
And all that time,
I'm
we're
amazing.
gonna move up like we're trying to protect him.
Taking these
Garce,
out.
Glory,
Yeah.
roll to hit
Shoot.
Eliza's wife with advantage for the surprise. Everyone else, roll initiative.
Let's get it.
Okay.
It's probably my most satisfying roll initiative I've ever done. Because I could feel you guys waiting for this.
honestly,
Yo, I hold on. I put down on a piece of paper before
It's
this started.
all four that are going into her.
Just real
Fuck,
quick,
I'm
I would
reluctant.
definitely save your initiative counts for a second because I got a few to roll for these guys. So, real quick, I'm going to wind up breaking these guards into pairs so I don't do everyone all by himself.
Action economy. Goddamn.
Yeah. So,
You said the wife?
the wife, yes,
Yeah. He pointed at the
sitting right next to him.
Okay. I said whoever you point that at.
She was a big old B word, if you know what I mean.
I was saving it for
No,
an exact
that's
moment.
Yeah, I was about to say, come on, we're past the B word. She's a C word.
She's about to be.
alright. So,
Unalive.
25 to 20.
20, 27.
20 to 15. Give me a second. Oh my god.
All the cars are going.
These guards are ready. That's actually pretty slick though, because now we all just get the fucking Rex shop after they go. It's like cool. It's like we start off strong with like these two for real, and then it's like
The
finish out
powerhouses.
stronger with the fucking ending this way. I'm not Paris.
Your boat is not like this.
That's true. I don't have my bow.
Where'd you put your boat?
Butcher's got my
It's a
bow.
butcher.
Good idea. Yeah. No.
He's in charge of blockading, so I'm like, if you need a blockade, I've got a bow.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, what? And I'm just like, I hand him the box. I'm like, say this word, and you've got a barricade. He's like,
Okay. 15 to 10.
14.
10.
10.
10 to 5.
Oh.
5 to 1. Silvis.
Watch roll.
Silvis, what's your dex?
+3.
Well, you didn't roll the worst. But now that initiative's all counted,
You want these Eldritch Blasts?
you
This hot fire.
you get the surprise round, so
This hot
what's
fire.
those Eldritch Blasts?
The lowest is a 19.
Hits.
So all four hit.
Any nat 20s?
Hit.
There's no nat 20s.
Damn.
As Eliza's full attention focused on Sam. Sam, you still look different since it's a disguise kit, but you got the full attention of this. As piercing through the back of the purplish radiant light that's growing, they
Plus
see
500.
2 bolts of this pulsing green arcane force
It's 4.
start
38
charging up,
points of force damage.
and then each hand juts forth twice, and then you just see the 2 lights split off into 4, and the green streaks just fire across the chamber as everyone gasps. You guys hear drinks fall, plates shatter, food start getting tossed asunder as table flips, and everyone starts trying to back up against the wall. That was how much damage for total?
38 points of force damage.
38 for everything together? Okay.
Bitch probably flew back to the chair.
She's unaliving.
As now getting to the top. I know not what goes on in my courts, but as he sits down his glass of wine calmly, let's see how it goes for you. Kingston, you're up first.
Okay, I am next to that guard, so
Yeah, you got the one guard right next to you at the pillar. You got the royal family over to your right. You got a family over towards your right at a table that looks kind of like they got a guard right behind them. Give me a perception check. This perception check's free.
nat 20.
That's what
What a
you
weird-
see these three people. You see a drunken old man, you see a old lady, and a slightly middle-aged lady that are shackled,
She's right
being watched by guards. Okay, you see
she's
those
across.
all the way over
Yeah,
there.
I see that. Okay.
You see this royal
There's a
family
guard
to
here,
your
right?
left, and you see this guard right in front of you too, and this guard at this pillar, and you see behind you the royal family. It kind of looks like the husband's reaching into his coat for something.
I'm gonna stab this guard in the side of the neck, and
Okay.
then I'm gonna turn around and
And
throw it at his face.
this is sneak attack, so you got advantage on it since you are behind him and flanking, and you are in a guard, and you are in a guard outfit. Too bad you don't have the assassin thing, or else this would be an auto crit right now. 100 something damage off the bat.
18.
18. That hits.
Okay, now you
As that guard's full focus is towards Sam, who's currently the focal point of this purplish glow that's beginning to fill up the chamber. You walk up quietly, tiptoeing, start pulling out your dagger, and see that little crease at the neck plate and the helmet. You start looking towards it and start jabbing the knife forward. What's the damage? 23. You slide it right through the gap of the plate, and you feel the blade start working through the spinal cord like butter. And you feel the body go limp beneath the dagger, and you just slowly let it down and just and lean it up against the pillar and start taking out the blade.
How many attacks?
Can I like then kind of take that spot without anybody noticing? Like,
Give me a free performance check. Just to kind of stand in front of this guard nonchalantly while all this stuff's going down. It would be a disadvantage, but considering the stealthy kill, it's a straight roll. Yeah.
16.
16. As far as you notice, haven't gotten anyone's attention as all this hell that's breaking loose seems to be distracting them, and you just let the body down gently, slowly pull out the knife, wipe off the blood, start leaning against the pillar with your arms crossed, whistling a bit, like waiting for someone else to kill.
I'm gonna throw it at the next card.
Alright, roll to hit. And for damage on this, it is only the
roll.
Straight weapon damage, yeah.
17.
17?
Oh, 17, yeah.
Just barely hits.
So it's 4. 4 dagger damage.
And then after that, Sam, you would notice, since your full attention right now is on Thaddeus, you would notice his son right next to him begin slowly slinking away.
Who is this?
Thaddeus' son, and working around the side.
Once Kimura gets back to that.
But after that, Kamori, you're up.
Hi. So
There's going to be a few people, and then the next player is going to be Sun after all the NPCs.
seeing as how Sam pointed at the wife,
Yep.
I'm going to focus this bonus action Eldritch Blast at her.
Okay.
Unnatural 20 and then a 19 plus 12 to hit her.
19 was the lowest that it hit.
Well,
last
for the
time?
unnatural 20, you watch as that bolt begins to streak towards her, and she whips up her hand, and this weird divine glyph of a shield springs up, and then that bolt gets deflected, but then she starts taking a heavy breath
The
as she
second one?
sees the other bolts charge up and kind of gives a, uh-oh.
10 for the second one. Force damage.
Force damage? Yep.
10, 15,
As
20.
one bolt streaks forth and starts glancing across her shoulder, the dress tears, she lets out a quick shriek, and Thaddeus looks over. Liza! Oh, that's it, kids.
As I...
Starts standing forward.
Is he standing?
Yeah.
Oh, in that case,
Okay, you start running around the side of the chamber.
start running up.
Start
and
running behind Kingston as that body's down there on the ground. You watch the dagger fly by your head and start hitting the other guard.
Is this the wife?
This is Liza, this is Thaddeus.
Okay.
Please have it. Please have what I think it is.
I'm gonna cast Shatter on this point, like between the two.
Okay. What does that do?
That's a 10-foot radius sphere. It's a Constitution saving throw for them.
Okay, for some reason, the spell doesn't seem to set in. Thaddeus, but Eliza. What does she gotta do a con save?
Yeah.
That's a unnatural 20. That's 17 plus 3.
All right, so she'll take halvesies, but any inorganic material in that radius just explodes essentially.
Yeah.
So the bench in front of them and all that?
Yeah.
And all the food?
The table, their
Anything
chair.
that's not made of anything that's
like
not made of
living matter.
yeah. So
Yeah.
So like the table, the
Metal.
chairs, and all that.
That'll
Yeah.
be
metal,
60,
all her jewelry.
What's the radius?
10 foot.
Oh,
He
okay,
has
so
a
it's
ring
on
on
the next
every
two.
finger.
You guys watch
didn't work on him, but her
as
shrapnel would probably hit
Thaddeus
him.
calmly stands up, starts looking back down at his glass of wine, maybe thinking about taking one more sip as he reaches out towards it. And you see at first the rings across his finger blow up and shatter as he quickly jolts his hand back and looks back towards the table,
sure he just
and it
lost
starts
all
to
his fingers.
splinter and fold inward before erupting outward, and the plates shatter, the food goes spraying across, and his fine silk robes are now soiled, and he looks down and brushes off the debris
With his bloody hands.
and looks over at his wife that seemed to have received most of the impacts.
27 thunder damage.
27 thunder damage. And that's the bow since they only took half. Or was that the full damage?
That's the full damage?
That's full damage, so half that. 14?
Yes.
14 total. And does that end your move?
Yep, that's my full turn.
Alright, so now the front guards are up.
And I made no attempt at hiding my spells.
The first one rushes to Kingston after realizing where the dagger came from that struck him. He's gonna start unsheathing his short sword and swing it up towards you in a reverse arc. That's a 14 to hit.
6, nope.
Okay, you quickly take one step back, and the very tip of the blade just grazes inches in front of your face as the guard takes a step back, starts bringing back the blade and thrusting forward for a stab. That's a 17. 17, so that's... You take 7 points of slashing as you kind of see the thrust coming forward straight, and you barely duck out to the side, but it's just not really enough, and it starts cutting. It kind of starts cutting through the clothing.
Uncanny dodge.
So it goes from 7 to 4 because you take half. And the other guard, it doesn't realize Sun's a threat yet, so he's gonna start looking like he's gonna run past you, but he doesn't recognize you as a threat since you're still dressed up as a normal guard. That's gonna end the guards. So next it's Eliza.
She just got blasted.
She just got hooked so much.
Stepping up, and
Took a lot of dick to the face.
she's gripping her shoulder, looking down at her all white gown that's now got wine stains and food stains and everything
Blood.
in it, and these giant scorch marks. And she starts running her hand through her hair and stretches her arms back before. All right. The glowy little one with the face dies. And starts spreading her hands apart and spreads them out in a circle before bringing them back and shooting this odd bolt of light towards you. And you see several magic arrows start jutting out. So that is going to be...
Damn it.
You take 12 points of radiant damage as these three
So
arrows burst forth, and they also start to wrap around different parts of the pillar before crashing into
I'm
your
gonna
floor.
use my reaction as I take this damage to turn invisible and teleport. Misty escape.
Alright.
And I'm teleporting right behind them, but I'm still invisible until the beginning of my turn.
Eliza goes to charge out one more bolt as your form suddenly disperses, and
I give her the cheekiest fucking grin as I watch these arrows come towards me.
And then after that, she notices the one guard charging towards Kingston, and she's going to divert the attack towards there. So that's going to be a...
Does she know, though?
She sees that guard attacking Kingston.
I know, but they're both guards, so it's like...
Yeah.
Can she discern which one is the one that's the bad guy?
She take 6 points of fire damage as she holds up a finger, and you see this tiny bolt of fire shooting out towards you. Next up, it is Thaddeus. As Thaddeus finally steps forward, calmly walks around the table.
Do I get an opportunity attack as he runs away from me?
Without missing a beat, this will drop my invisibility. As I can't cast spells on. I don't have Warcaster, but I will whip the dagger out from the sheath on my thigh and just in his back. I roll like dick, so I missed, but I'm not invisible anymore.
Hey, I just tried to stab you.
As you wind up pulling out your dagger and you lunge it forward towards the backside of Thaddeus, you notice your blade goes in. Your blade goes in and sinks. almost like he didn't move, and you look up. He's looking at you right over his shoulder and calmly turns, letting the blade sink deep and cut across his form before it breaks free.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is the blade that is sat in the
he
sigil of
slowly reaches up a hand and points a finger at you. And you watch this green gas of a wave start to shoot out towards you.
Mm-hmm.
Make a dexterity saving throw.
No, I rolled a 2 + 2 is 4.
All right.
Not dexy at all.
Damn.
I am not dexterous. I'm charismatic as fuck.
All right. So you take 78 points of force damage as you feel this familiar, dark, sickening pulse work through your body and it almost feels like on a molecular basis, your body almost feels like it wants to fall apart as he retracts his finger. Teach you to get so close, love. And starts looking towards the rest of the party.
You're funny.
Gaucho, is that you? We got unfinished business. You're just left to stare as you're reeling back from that force that want to tearing through your body.
Good thing she was so high up in the initiative order.
Sun, you're up.
Oh yeah, guys, we gotta fucking
As Sun starts running around the guard
we gotta
that
lock down these fucking guys.
was running past him because he didn't know he was a guard. He was like, "You go that way, I go this way."
Yeah, we gotta lock down.
And that guard keeps going, and you start walking up.
We gotta lock down these fucking gauchos, man.
Right behind the guard that's currently got the gauchos all shackled up.
Yep.
Apparently, Sam's remainder family was left there on display.
And then I just pull out old trusty Nova, just start swiping motherfuckers.
Could I recognize the spell he cast on me? That was a lot of force damage.
This is Journey to the West Sun.
Could I recognize the spell he cast on me?
You've seen Faulkner do it before.
22
for the shackle or the guard?
The guard.
Okay.
I gotta take him down
and
first.
You've also got that with advantage since he's surprised.
That's why. Yeah.
So 22, that hits.
And then I'll do the second one, which will probably be straight, just to see how we're rocking. That one's 23, and I'm gonna use a key point to try to stun his ass.
Okay.
First one.
What's he got to make?
It's a con save, I believe.
That's a natural 19 plus 2, so that's 21.
He saved it. But that's fine.
Of course, my good roll goes to the guard.
That's fine, because we're about to hit him with a nice flurry of blizzles after that.
Okay. So you kind of start running up to him like, "Hey man, the guard over there could use some help," and then sock him across the face. And then as he's rolling back, like, "What the fuck?" You bring up the other arm, sock him again, and you were going for the stun, and he shrugs it off, and you're like, "Oh, screw that," and then just go to a couple more hits. As everyone for a moment can hear the metal gauntlets against the metal helmet just clink, 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 clink.
I slapped him with the staff. That was the first two.
The brass cap of the staff and the metal helmet. Just a more dense wooden sound with the impact.
The flurry of blows was 26 and... I'm sorry, 24 and 14, sorry.
14 misses. So every hit hits besides the one. So is that 3 attacks get damage?
Yeah. He also then has to make a dex.
That's 14.
He fucking falls prone.
Okay. If someone wants to knock him on his ass real quick. As
he takes...
You start pulling the staff back and take one step towards him and start driving your hips into a thrust. You start jabbing it right. You start jabbing it right beneath his chin. And he takes the impact back and falls down to his ass.
+5, so 30 points of damage total.
As that guard falls back, you start continuing to drive the staff forward until he's completely prone, and you give it one final push, and you feel the windpipe separate and the skin jut out there on the side, and you start pulling the staff back like, I didn't mean to do that. Well, I kind of did, but
Insta kill.
And you look over and you see the gauchos there. And does that end your turn?
It does.
That's good, because at the end of your turn, Thaddeus looks over towards you. And like, oh, no. I need them. And lifts his hand up, and you see a small bolt of fire form as he thrusts it forward towards you. Give me 27.
Yeah.
So that's going to be 15 points of fire damage. As that bolt looked like it was almost going to go past you and hit one of the members behind you until you stepped over towards the side and wound up taking it with the shoulder. For a cantrip, that had a little umph. Sam, you're up.
Do I notice the umph to his cantrip?
Give me a perception check.
Fucking righteous. So
19.
Oh yeah,
but I'm
yeah. You
proficient
saw
in
Faulkner
acrobatics.
does this a lot,
So plus
but this
8
one
to
looks
acrobatics.
like it had a more solid
I rolled
impact.
a 5.
So,
If I use all my movement,
Samuel, welcome home.
yeah, I'm about to give you a fucking welcome.
It's been
home.
7 years. Come and give your uncle a hug.
Yeah, I plan on it. So I'm going to use all my movement.
As
That'll
you
get
start
me
dashing straight down the
It'll get
central
me.
wooden floor of the corridor.
to here. I'm gonna jump and hit the rocket boots.
Okay.
So I'll be like here when I decide
Give me
to.
an acrobatics check.
It's not like curve stomping on the table.
That's 13 on acrobatics.
All right. You go to take off into the air. You jump and you do take off, but you overshoot just a bit and almost slam into Komori as you land on the other side. And Thaddeus just takes one quick step to the right, looks over. Really now? Really? That's it?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to pull out hemorrhage.
Waited all this time.
I'm gonna pull out hemorrhage and fucking swipe at his ass with it. That's 29 to hit.
29, that hits.
Okay, I'm gonna use hemorrhage as well on this.
Okay.
That's 13 slashing on this attack, and he takes 7 of that again.
Slashing?
Yeah, he says it's 13 slashing.
13 slashing.
And then he takes 7 again at the start of his next turn.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna swing this scythe again at him. That's a nat 20.
You notice as you bring the scythe down once and you cleave it right across his chest and you rotate it through your hands and you start planting your feet to swipe it right back across. You look back at the wounds and you see the greenish, almost gas working around the wound and the black licks that start pulsing from it. And then it slowly starts stitching back up.
That's 28 slashing on the second
28
one.
slashing. Yeesh. Alright. And does that end your move? As
Yeah, that's
that
it.
your turn.
That's
As
it.
he's going to spend his last 2 legendary actions. Komori and Sam,
Yes.
make a wisdom saving throw.
You have,
What is this? Is it a charm effect?
It's a frightening effect.
you have, we're
not immune to
immune.
that?
We're immune because of me.
You're immune to frightening.
Yeah, here, my defenses. Here, hold on, let me tell you. Immunities, Aura of Courage starting at 10th level. You and friendly creatures within 10 feet can't be frightened while you're conscious.
Wasted
You watch.
action.
Wasted legendary
You
action.
watch as Thaddeus looks
Back of
towards
us.
you all, takes a deep breath. Come now, Alana. You don't want to lose everything you love twice, do you? And then you suddenly feel that pulse of force reach through your being, but then Komori, you notice Sam's form glow for a moment as the force breaks. And Thaddeus looks, I thought you'd cut all ties with your god.
Fuck you!
I'm gonna look at Sam, look at Thaddeus, and give him a wink.
Shoved.
Here's a bitch!
So, Faulkner, you're up.
Now that Sam's up there and Komori's up there, how does... What's his wife's name?
Eliza.
How does Eliza?
Relatively okay, just a little scorched.
God
Wait,
bless.
she caused 6 Eldritch Blasts and a Shatter. How does she look pretty okay?
Yeah, she did like
Unknown
50 when
HPs.
she first hit her.
What the fuck?
It's a magical family.
Because I don't want Sam to get distracted up there, I'm going to just try to start picking everyone off
Alright.
up there. So obviously the one I see the most threat would be Eliza.
Okay. And you got spell sniper, right?
That's
because
he has no feats.
No.
so right now they got 3/4 cover with basically the table. Thaddeus is standing there,
Table's
so
broken.
like
Table shattered.
table
The table
shatters.
shattered.
Never mind.
It exploded.
She is
There is no
open.
cover.
She is right in front of you for the taking.
I
So it's a table.
exploded him.
Forgot about that. Thank you.
After seeing him did I see him try to cast Disintegrate on Kamari?
Give me a perception check for back.
Is that what that was?
Yes.
I'm thinking.
Did I?
During this break, we would all like to give a very special thank you to Fesloon Studio, Michael Gelfi, and Tabletop Audio. That background noise, ambience, and music you all probably heard by now that starts giving scenes a little extra punch. That's all from them. And if you want to go check them out, which I highly recommend, their links will be right down below in the description. But till then, let's start jumping back into the madness.
Die.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was fucking
That's a
terrible.
5.
It's 5.
That was a disrespectful ass roll, though.
No.
The way it just was so good.
You just
Yeah.
saw some green pulse. It was like, oh damn, that doesn't look good. I'm not a fan of that.
Alright, then I would maybe I would save that then because it would be sort of retaliatory. So I will just use my bonus action, to send 2 firebolts at her. First one to hit is 26.
26?
Yeah.
Hits.
Second one to hit would be 18.
18. It's not back to her turn, so she doesn't have her reaction. Hits.
Sweet. She would take 60 10. 12, that's 22. 31, 34 points of fire damage.
34 points of fire damage, so half, that's 17.
17.
You watch 2 large streaks of fire quickly jolt across the whole chamber and directly impact the center of her chest as she's flung back a quick couple of steps, and you see the blackened char mark where the all white dress that was stained was. As she's reeling, she's taking a couple of heavy deep breaths. And, honey, we gotta get out of here. That's it for you.
Yeah, that was my
that's it for
movement
you.
action bonus.
Grey Axe, you're up.
Alright. 20, 25, 30. We'll do a dash.
As Grey Axe starts running up the center of the chamber, starts dashing past the guard that's prone, so he can't take his opportunity of attack because it caught up.
That guy's
60.
And you got the other guy.
No, that guy that he ran
Yeah.
past
Oh, yeah,
is dead.
yeah.
I'm gonna throw the javelin that D gave me.
Oh, Lord.
As Grey Axe starts taking large, wide, gaping steps, lumbering up towards Eliza, and reaches over his back and grabs a large silver javelin, takes a quick hop and plants his feet and throws it forward as it starts splitting through the air, and the lightning starts swirling around the spear as it crackles and jolts towards your target.
Oh, fuck. Unnatural 20.
Hits! As Eliza's still clutching her chest, looking over towards her husband. We gotta get out of here, as she looks forward and sees the spear pierce the center of the chest and
Is it
starts working its
javelin of
way in.
lightning?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's.
And then
Hold on.
you see the lightning magic work back towards the ends of the spear to focus before jutting down the whole spear and shooting into her chest.
Just so you guys see what the damage is for this. Oh, that's shit roll. Okay, hold on. 6, 7, 11, 16, 18, 22 damage.
She's standing there with this spear sitting in her chest, maybe a couple of inches, as the lightning pulses through her, and her arms tense, her whole body shakes, and she gets stiff before the lightning slowly starts to take its course, and she can once again start to breathe and starts looking back towards her husband with pleading eyes, and he's just
Second attack.
he's just
I'm
looking back
throwing
at
a
Sam
hand axe at her.
and then looking over towards his family. Sam,
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
you see Thaddeus
Yeah,
look
that's
over,
There's that fighter shit, bro.
look over his shoulder towards you, kind of give you a grin, and then look over towards where Sun is. Okay, that was it for you. Silvus, you're up.
Running down straight down the center, screaming, my lord, help me, they're mad. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25.
And Silvus, as you start running into the chamber, you do hear the footsteps of battalions of guards echoing through the corridor.
I'm trusting.
As you're running, my lord, let me. Oh crap! Fire! People wounded. Javelin, lightning. Okay.
Bonus action. Let's go with this many.
Oh, you got to choose how many. Oh,
What are these?
healing.
If you're healing me, notice within 100 feet of me, dice are treated as having rolled
Maximum
full.
heal.
Well, then let's do that then.
Yes.
Well, what's
Are
the
you healing me?
I wouldn't. In character, know that to be honest.
You
But it would just
definitely
happen.
do
It would
look
just
over
happen.
towards Komori.
I look like shit.
She
happen,
doesn't
right?
look necessarily harmed, but her general form has cracks running through it, like a statue that just got hit. And then you see Silva start running in through the chamber and starts stretching out a hand as a quick pulse of light juts forth and winds up connecting you to him for a moment. And you feel that warmth start pulsing through you, and some of the cracks
7
heal.
D6s.
So
42.
42 points of healing to Komori.
Yeet.
Quick math.
And that
Is there any
was
plus?
That's your bonus, so you got your
and
action.
plus 7.
Plus 7.
So
I
49.
will take that. Thank you.
So that was your movement and bonus. You got your action.
Thank you, Silvis and
Rock this
Neldre.
bitch down.
Hold on a second.
He's like-
Just mark this down so that I don't accidentally use it again. Alright, so that's 1, 2, 3. That's a. Was that the Batman?
That's
Yeah.
a Batman.
That's Batman. That's a guard. That's a guard that's looking at you intently.
4th level hold person.
Okay, so on who? Thaddeus?
Thaddeus,
Eliza.
Eliza,
That guard.
that guard, and the guard to my left.
Okay.
About to get some stabby.
So what did that have to roll?
The wisdom saves.
There's some saves, so I'm going to start with Thaddeus. So that's a natural 19 plus 9, so that's 27. 28. Yeah, 28. Then Eliza. It's 17.
Makes it.
Guards on the left. It's 14.
Fails.
And then the guards on your right, so that one. Natural 20. As Thaddeus goes to look back towards your family, and you see his face not want to turn for a second, but then he shrugs it off and gives a quick glance towards Silvis. And that's the end of Silvis' turn, so it goes to the back guards.
Oh, the guards rolled like
This
dick.
one's gonna... Faulkner, one's gonna flank up behind you, but he does not get surprised since he's lumbering up towards you and you see it coming. It's a natural 15 plus 3, so that's 18. 18. As he goes to swipe out with the sword, you can hear it cutting through the air, and you lean forward enough to where you feel it just lightly graze your back, and you turn away and you look and you see another guard there with his sword drawn, starts taking another step towards you, but that's going to be it for him.
Divert my attention to him.
And then after that, it's the throne guards. So 15, 20. That one's going to Komori.
Yeah. Do it. I dare you.
Actually, that one's going to Sam. This one's going to Komori. So first one on Sam. That's 10 to hit. That misses. So second attack, another 10. Double 7s. Komori, the one behind you.
It's gonna roll great.
13 plus 3, so that's 16.
Yeah, you didn't even need a plus.
16 and another 7, so 10.
Yeah.
So Sam, that guard starts.
One, though.
That
Yeah.
guard starts charging in behind and goes for one straight thrust, and you start lifting up an arm and duck aside, and you see it go through, and then he cleaves it off towards the side, and you start slamming down your bracer, and the blade can't quite pierce it, and you flick it off towards the side more. The first blade goes wide, and then he turns it and starts dragging across the air and starts cutting across your cheek. That's
You hit a lady.
10 points of slashing damage.
Okay.
And then as all of this is going on, you all can hear the clamoring of footsteps of the battalion that was echoing through the corridor suddenly stop as you hear blades start to clang, and you hear forces start to cheer and rise as, "All right, men, don't let a single one of them leave. Anyone that does, is to the lockers." As you see everyone start charging in, and you hear a bunch of people start to scream and freak out, like, what the hell's going on? And suddenly you see a large plank of wood block off the entrance of the door.
The boat!
As you hear a very familiar word shouted through the air.
Yo!
And then after that, it's gonna come all the way back to Kingston, but before you turn the layer.
Sam, I want you to know I pray to the gods for you.
Wait, am I gonna have to make a saving throw?
Me.
As
I'm proficient in all of them.
as you Sam, as you stand there, you watch as Thaddeus gives you a wink and then whispers a few weird guttural words beneath his breath, and you see this force field encompass him and start to break down into a cord that suddenly shoots across the room and wraps around Tiny. And you watch this aura around Tiny form. And it seems like Thaddeus and Tiny have the same aura in the strand that's connecting them. I'd be careful what you do. And that's the layer. Kingston, you're up.
Is that guard still alive?
The one charging up to you that you wound up hitting with the dagger, yeah. He's still got the dagger in the little gap of his rib plate. It's bleeding from it, but he's still charging towards you.
Which
Would I be
is
able
Tiny?
to grab it?
Tiny's the old grandmother. She would be over where this person is that son's standing in front of.
Would I be able to take the knife out of it? Like the dagger?
That's what
would
I mean. You
would
just
I
have to
be-
keep.
Because you said that he stabbed forward. Would I be able to?
As a bonus action, I will let you try to make a sleight of hand check to start taking out the blade, and then as an action, you could stab him with the blade again. So if pretty much you want to duck back, start taking out the knife and stab him again with it, you can.
Okay, I'll do that.
So first thing, sleight of hand check to start dodging and start taking out the blade. 21. You see the guard strike, arcing down, and take a quick step towards the right and bend back, and your hand's right there in range. You start taking out the blade, and you see the large gush of blood follow. And you look around for another soft spot, and you find one there at the chest. Roll to hit.
14.
As you go to hit, the blade pierces and scrapes, but it doesn't set in enough, and it seems to just barely glance past the skin.
Do I know stay where you are? Do I know if that was a curse or not?
As you see Baron start Benson, yeah, sorry.
Oh wait,
15. Start working around the backside of the throne. Gamora, you're up.
That's me. I am going to use 15 feet of my movement to kind of skirt around so he'll have an opportunity attack on me as I go.
Okay, and so would no, you're not.
I'm still in her threat
radius,
range.
yes. So
Now she's about to whip out a sword.
12. No,
That
9.
hits. Okay, the 9 does not hit then. I'm going to use my action to do radiant consumption, so start blowing the radiant light.
Okay.
Then I will use my bonus action to reach out to Eliza and say, I'm so sorry, and cast poison spray in her face.
I'm sorry, but
I'm sorry. She has to make a con save.
It's like that moment in Wanted before he shoots his like, I'm sorry.
I rolled awful.
that's 12.
Does not succeed, so 3 poison damage and 10 radiant.
Okay.
And then I will end my turn, so everyone in a 10-foot radius is going to take 5 radiant damage.
Okay.
So, Taddies.
10-foot radius.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
said
it's
so
only
if
hers.
Thaddeus would be in there.
Oh, so you're on the table, kind of technically.
Yeah, you got.
Table
Okay,
one.
yeah. So they're both in it. All right. So Eliza's up, and she looks over towards you, and she's gonna reach a hand out and start grabbing your wrist.
If she's casting a spell, I'm going to cast counterspell.
Okay. At what level?
Did she even grab her yet? Hold up. You gotta at least let her make this roll.
If it's in reaction to seeing someone casting a spell.
Yeah, she starts to grab
she's
your
like,
wrist,
trying to-
and you feel the bite of a magical force start piercing your skin.
You're funny, as I cast it at 5th level.
5th level.
If it's higher, I can make an ability check.
Well, you gotta cast it, and the spell diminishes as she looks at you wide-eyed, and
You're funny.
Roll for touch spell.
I like you.
Frostbite and vampire.
Be ashamed if something awful happened. I don't
so
like
she's
people
gonna use
touching
her
me.
bonus action to she's gonna back up, and well, she's just gonna kind of turn enough to kind of start
blind
to basically start getting her arm free, and you see that weird green start working into a blue like frost, and you see this torrent of cold air suddenly form as it's thrown towards you. Ray of Frost.
I counterspelled the wrong spell.
No, this here's just Ray of Frost.
I have to make a dex save, don't I?
You gotta get your dex over.
No, she just makes a spell hit.
God.
I'm not wearing armor.
That's 21 to hit.
Still gotta get
Yes.
something.
Okay, so that's only 1d8
I
of
have mage armor, which is 15.
It's going to be 9 points of cold damage.
Okay.
And that's going to end her turn, and it's going to get to
Cards.
Thaddeus. No, yeah, the back guards. Actually, the only one of those guards that's left is the one that's going after Kingston, so this guard's going to make his swipe. He's not looking too good, but that's 22 to hit, which definitely hits. So that's 10 points of slashing damage. As the guard starts feinting a strike, but then turns it and drives it straight at the last second, and it just barely pierces through a rib before you duck back. You start pushing the blade aside. And that's the only one of those guards left, so now it's Thaddeus. As you see that tether still connecting those two, and you watch this, he takes one deep breath and takes a step forward as this orb forms around him. This clear, dim light of a sphere, and turns, crosses his arm, pointing his back to everyone else in the chamber, looking Sam dead in the eyes, holds up his finger, points it over towards John, and lets it loose as you see a bolt of fire streak across, and that's 28.
I push him.
Push him? Give me a deck. 20?
Yep.
You managed to push John out of the way at the last second, but you wind up taking the blow yourself. So that's 19 points of fire damage. And then Thaddeus starts reeling his finger back. You got nice friends. Well, depending how this goes, had nice friends.
Bro, stop talking shit, alright?
And
you're already gonna get sauced.
That's gonna end his move. Son, you're up.
Just look at his friend and I'm like,
So, Son, you got the dead guard on the ground behind you.
Get the fucking keys from this
And you
guy.
still got that tether from Tiny to Thaddeus.
Yep, that's fine. I just take the fucking pole, the god pole, and I just like swipe the fucking tether.
It takes no effect.
Fine.
It just passes through. So that I'll say that was your bonus to kind of take that swipe.
We got 23 and then fucking 13.
You start shooting Thaddeus the dirty glance as you start running up to the guard that's flanked behind Sam. And it was what?
23 and then 13.
13 misses. But the 23, you get a quick surprise attack on him as he looks over towards you at the last second to notice the end brass cap of the staff working its way up to greet him in the eyes.
It's 6.
As that guard starts reeling back, and it's taken him a while to recover and start standing up straight again. Sam, you're up.
Can I?
You got Eliza there on the right, it's not looking good. You got the guard to your back right, and you got the guard directly behind you. That Son started smacking on. You got Thaddeus in front of you with his arms crossed in this weird barrier.
Can I discern if that's a curse? You know what it is?
Give me a Arcana check.
That is a 17.
17. You do know that occasionally, you mainly heard this from Balcar when he was telling you all the stories he heard about liches and his own personal encounters, but apparently a lich can target one creature can see within 30 feet of it, and a crackling cord of negative 4 starts to tether the lich to its target, and whenever the lich takes damage, the remainder of the damage goes off towards the thing that it's tethered to.
Is it a curse or is it a spell? It sounds like a curse.
It is. Oh, it's not specified as a curse.
So it would be a spell then, technically?
It's a layer action. It's a little different.
This man tried to look me in my face and disrespect me, so now I'm about to look him in his face and then do this, like, giant pirouette and slice his wife's fucking head off her shoulders.
Hold it.
When I spin it, I'm gonna spin
You're
like
looking at him the whole time, and then
I'm
working
gonna
away the last second.
I'm gonna like spin, say like from left to right, and when I go through her, I'm gonna use cleave so it catches my guy in the back right here too.
So the initial strike's gonna start penetrating the Eliza, and then the moment the blade makes contact, you're gonna extend the cleave.
Yes.
So that Maury's out of the slash zone.
But I catch the dude in the back. That looks like
that
Colossus. Right.
So the guy in the back's got to make a save for the cleave. So that's a dex save, I believe.
There's no save. It just says +2 to hit as an action. That
Okay.
Cleaving any creature within 50. It's an 18.
18 to hit. That hits.
Actually,
Eliza.
that's a 20 plus the +2 to cleave.
Okay, so
unnatural 20.
That one hits Eliza, and then for hitting the guard.
That's +11. Actually, that's +13 because of the cleave. So that's 19.
19. That definitely hits the guard.
Okay, so that's 10 +6. That's 16. Do I roll damage for both, or just is it 16 to both?
The damage to Eliza would carry through to the next guy with cleave.
So that's 16 plus 3d6, which I have none of for some reason.
Here, I got you. What do you need?
3d6.
And there should be something on that about a bleed effect too.
So that's 6, 8 on top of the, what did I say?
16.
So 24 slashing damage on that hit.
Next Friday.
Alright. 24 slashing to Eliza, and that goes over to the guard.
Yeah.
As you cleave through a good portion of Eliza's neck, severing muscle and tendon as a gush of blood begins to pour out, and the blade continues and cleaves the head off of the back guard, and you slowly twist the scythe and bring it down to a resting stance, looking at Thaddeus as you notice his eyes fleet towards his wife and then go back to you, and he smirks.
And then
I was done with that anyway.
Yeah, my second attack action, I'm going to use Blood Rain.
Okay.
Does that count? Because that's technically like a weapon attack still. On here, you have it listed under the weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So would you count that
as what, action or bonus action?
As an action, because I have 2 attack actions.
That would be an action.
Okay. So that I take 1d4 damage. That's
as Kamor, you notice Sam's eyes, the blood vessels in them erupts, and you see tears of blood start to streak down his face as you watch the blood begin to burn and steam off and drift into the air as droplets, and the droplets form into these little needles and barbs. And then when Sam puts his attention, you're doing it to Eliza?
No, I'm actually like casting it right on myself.
Oh, okay.
So everyone within a 10-foot range of me takes...
Well, the barbs deflect off a barrier around Thaddeus, but Eliza and the guard behind you, this guard's dead.
Yeah, so the two...
The guard next to you.
Yeah,
so it's Eliza and the guard behind you.
Yeah, they have to make con saves.
Alright, Eliza, that's a 14.
Nope.
And the guard, that's a natural 1.
Super fair.
Which, since that guard behind you has little to no hit points left, the barbs start focusing towards him as a couple slowly turn and face his direction and immediately jolt through the air and stab him.
So that's 18.
You watch about 12 barbs start working in the guard in the back as his form shakes violently from each impact, and he falls to his knees as blood starts erupting from every orifice of his body.
22 piercing damage.
And that guy's dead.
So that's another, I have +2 to everything.
And Eliza, how much was that?
22. She dead?
No.
As Eliza gets hit by the other 20-something barbs, and you see everyone sticking out of her form in the white dress as each new needle forms riplets of blood that begin seeping through the fabric. She's on there. She's on the ground, holding her neck, trying to crawl away.
I have one last
leaving
question.
a trail of blood in her wake, and Thaddeus looks over towards her.
I have one last question
Tisk.
for the
Sorry,
DM.
love. Yeah.
Since that attack is used through my weapon, would you count that as a weapon attack? You said yes, right?
Yeah.
So then,
I
as
already said that.
I can use my bonus action and use Thunderous Smite and thunderously smite the bricks off of this bitch as well, just to add. I didn't know if you would let me do that or not.
Thunderous Smite would work if you were driving your blade towards an enemy, and at pretty much
you're right. This has
point of contact it would rupture. But since right now this is the blood rain and all that, you're not really channeling Smite through a couple hundred bars of that. So if basically you were tying that to your cleave earlier, since the weapon's piercing through them all, then yeah.
No, that's fair.
But for the blood rain,
yeah, that's it. Then.
Faulkner, you're up. Grey Axe, you're on deck. But real quick, at the end of your turn, he's going to look over at every one of you standing there. He's going to look to his wife.
He takes 7 points of slashing damage at the end.
As Thaddeus is looking towards you and is looking smug and cocky. And then you watch a torrent of blood erupt from his mouth as it coughs, and he starts reaching a hand up to catch it, and he smiles and starts shooting an eye towards Tiny. And you watch Tiny start falling to her knees and coughing as blood starts erupting from her chest. She's still alive, but she's coughing a lot, and he looks back over to you displeased, and he's going to use his 2 legendary actions to...
You bitch.
No, his 3 legendary actions. I need Sun, Sam, Kamori, and Eliza to make Constitution saving throws.
Well, that's
Eliza fails.
Of course, he did.
18.
18, you barely pass.
Fuck.
You take half damage.
You rolled on 19.
You pass.
Or no, that's a 19. I thought that was a 10. That's fucking 28.
You definitely pass.
I'm close enough to you, so is that
if
plus
you're
2?
within 10 feet of me, you get +2 on your saves.
Yep, you're 10 feet away from him.
Am I close enough?
It's
Yeah, you are in a triangular position with Sam right now. You too.
20.
19.
You both pass, so you all take half damage.
Except for his wife, who he just murdered.
Yeah, his wife failed, so she takes full.
He just murdered his wife in front of all these people, by the way. So just to add that to the... This guy's a piece of shit,
So that's...
Like, you just... Some just, like, kind of takes...
So that's 36 points necrotic damage, half to 18 points necrotic. So you get that quarter since you got a double resistance. So that's 9 points of necrotic to Kamori,
And me.
18, 9 points to Sam, and 18 to Sun.
Oh, wait. What is it? What kind of damage?
Necrotic.
Ah, you fucking...
And you notice as Eliza's form on the ground begins to turn onto its back, the back arches, and the limbs curl up and tense as the whole form begins to writhe and shake, and this weird blackish foam begins to work from its mouth as she lets out her last gasp, and you see the gas leaking out of her flow through the orb of Thaddeus and into his form. Rest easy, my love.
Yeah, fuck you. You just killed your wife.
You can't understand.
Hold up, was that
Love
just a
that
soul?
transcends ages. That's the end of that, so Faulkner, you're up. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. So unfortunately, because I diverted my attention to the guard, I did not see that force field go up, right?
But give me your history check. Actually, history or arcana. You're going to get different things depending on which one you go for.
14 for the arcana? Or 15. 6 plus 9.
You don't remember the specifics, but you remember the last time you encountered something like this. It was in the puzzle rooms of King Alistar's tomb.
Okay, well, I'm just going to divert all this at the guard in front of me.
Okay.
We'll go with the double firebolt combo. It's a trusty combo. Right to the face. First one
Guard, so
is either 20 or 23, so first one's on net 20.
both hit.
Well, on that 20, because it's disadvantage on both.
Yeah, so
On that 20,
that one is.
and... Oof. 10.
10 misses.
15 points of damage for the first one that hit.
Alright. And you start focusing the fire, and you got a lot better at this with the training the rod and the breathing, that this cantrip is putting out a lot more oomph, and it's a little more than you expected because you take one extra breath, and when it hits his chest, you watch his crater form, and it sends you off guard. And when you shoot out the second bolt, it goes a little wide and lands right next to his face, and you look down at the guy and realize he's not breathing anymore, considering he has no organs left in his chest cavity. So that guy behind Fulk just dead.
Cool.
Dead.
And as my movement, I'm gonna stay where I am, but just divert my attention to the other battles at hand.
Okay. Grey Axe, you're up. Silvis, you're on deck.
How large is the force field around him?
It is
Just like the radius.
10-foot radius.
Okay. So I could get to like right there, and I'd be touching the force field pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to be able to stand there, but there we go.
It's like
As you're standing in front of Thaddeus, well, standing behind him.
Yeah. First, I'm gonna look down at my octopus. It's just. Can you do anything? Grow bigger? Attack?
Takes a deep breath in and swells up and starts flexing.
Okay, now.
And then lets it out and starts flying off your shoulder as the air propels him.
So instead.
You just got a deflating balloon just flying.
Sam, you see this go on behind Thaddeus. As you look over his arm a bit and see the little octopus fly off in the air.
Oh, yeah.
As all this shit's going on around you, you see the dragonborn run up to the barrier and talk to his octopus.
And seeing as that happen, I just take the sword and I just start scraping it against the barrier behind him. Yeah, just like really. I'm not trying to like break through it.
Starts making contact with the barrier.
Yeah, I'm just kind of
doesn't
like.
seem to scratch it
I'm
or
just
mark it.
I'm just doing it to try to make him aware that I'm.
Okay.
Of my presence.
Okay. Does that end it?
Yeah, pretty much. I can't do anything else.
Alright, so,
I think I might get him first.
What we do
He's
is
annoying.
step over here. And then, dispel magic.
To the bear?
Yeah.
What level?
3, but I can roll for anything higher.
Make a roll.
20. So 10 plus the spell level.
Fuck your barrier.
And he's out of legendary actions to try
Fuck
to
your
cast
barrier.
out your
And then,
spell.
as I'm just finishing up, I'm just gonna rest my hands. And on my turn, my scorpion can move on the paralyzed guy. And I'm just gonna sting the fuck out of his neck.
You notice Thaddeus there looking all smug behind his globe until Silvis runs up and flicks a finger in his direction.
How concerned is he?
And then realizes it doesn't do anything at first and flicks the finger in his direction a little harder. And then keeps his whole hand up and focuses really hard. And then the barrier cracks. It falls. And you see the look in Thaddeus' eyes kind of grow a little concerned as he looks at you. And then looks back over his shoulder and sees Grey Axe there now that his sword penetrates the barrier and he gets a smile.
I just laugh. Ha!
And then Diggory works across your arm.
Did they free themselves? Because I did tell them to do that.
Go, my
before I ran. It's like, get this fucking keys from this guy.
They're working on it.
He's doing
Like, one of you can fight as far as I know.
a sting and +2 to hit, which I would assume is at advantage because he's paralyzed.
Yeah.
He takes 2 damage then.
Okay.
Automatically fails the con save
Okay.
and takes. He'll get there in a second. That's another.
Something now bigger, Digger.
Yeah, so that's another damage
Okay.
as he's just.
You watch his eyes fleeting around the room with pain and discomfort and fear. But that's about all he can do. As
Oh, yeah.
Diggory's just
Then,
crawling up and down his arm. Sting, 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 sting.
Yeah.
Alright, so we'll go to the back guards, but the only one that's really left is paralyzed. The other ones are dead.
Yeah.
And then you guys hear the battalion of your allies and the pirates scream as they seem to slaughter more guards, and you don't notice anything coming through the doorway. So the round restarts, coming back up to Kingston, but before that, it is the lair. I shall see. And you watch the shadows of the chamber start to dance and flick before they all gain form. Grayax.
Yeah.
You notice they start to flee past you and start working up the stairs as they start working beneath the shattered remains of the table and wrap around Sam.
Are they able to get past my radiant light?
A couple of them that do for around this side. And Sam, you need to make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. Can I hellish rebuke the lair? Light this whole bitch up on fire?
I say the hellish rebuke would get sent to Thaddeus since he's in front of you.
Okay, Constitution save?
Yeah.
That is a 26.
Okay, so you take half. You take half of 15d6.
How many did you just say?
15. You hear that?
That's a lot.
So,
does this lair action cancel the fucking tether lair action?
It's already canceled.
that's already canceled at the start of the new round.
Word.
So that's 54 points of necrotic damage halved
27.
to 27, but then you got resistance to necrotic.
So half of 27.
Half of 27, so bring that down to 14 because you got to round up.
Woo, resistance!
And then I'm going to cast 4th level.
And you notice the shadowy spears that begin to wrap around you, start to creep in and constrict and bind you to where you begin to hear bones creak and crack. And then they let go and disperse, and the shadows start returning back to normal.
He has to make a dex save.
And the tether wrapping around Tiny seems to drop. Dex?
Yep.
22.
Okay, so he takes half of 9, 11, 18, takes 9.
9 points of what kind of damage? Is that fire or
it's
radiant?
It's fire.
As Kamori. No, Kingston.
God, I can't wait to fucking
Kingston, you're on. Kamori, you're on deck.
So I kind of like, would I be able to like tuck up here behind this kind of?
Or are you trying to hide?
Like, because I could shoot an arrow at him, but I don't know if I want to yet.
So do you want to hide and wait?
Yeah.
Alright, so
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You can hold your action for something.
Yeah.
Like, when
So
something happens,
you-
you'll shoot him.
So you, since you are rogue, you can use your bonus action to hide, so that when the action is triggered to attack, you've got sneak attack for it.
Okay.
So
Alright, cool.
So if you want to make a stealth check real quick.
20 for the stealth.
Okay, so you are. As far as you know, he doesn't seem to notice your presence, so you're gonna hide there until what's the trigger for your action?
I'm gonna wait to see if he takes another shot at somebody.
Okay, so the next time he makes an attack to a ally, you're gonna hold theirs. Baron, Benson would be up, but he's out. So Kamori.
I'm gonna use my action. I'm gonna palm my Rod of the Pact Keeper to give myself restore a spell slot.
Okay.
And then with my bonus action, I'm gonna look at Thaddeus and like watch his dome dispel, give a nod towards Sylvis as I see that magic connect. And as I reach a hand out with my doubled range of poison spray is 10 feet. Because spell sniper, he has to make a con saving throw.
Con save. That is a 16.
That fails, so he will take 20 points of poison damage and then 10 points of radiant on top of it.
As Kamori brings up her hand and starts putting a breath into it, or sending it forth towards Thaddeus, and whatever she cupped in her hand shoots forth in this noxious green gas that seems to swirl around his face, and you watch it work into his nostrils, and he takes a deep breath and begins to cough violently.
Haha!
And you see the blood begin to work from his nose and his eyes, and you watch parts of his face break away.
45, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. I'm going to have Neldre take the dash action because I forget that I have him.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he is hovering in a circle around Thaddeus's head,
Alright.
essentially.
So it's gonna end it for you?
Yes.
Okay, then that means it's Thaddeus that is up.
Mark Poser.
Maury.
Fucking
Me.
poser. Fucking poser.
God, you are a persistent little brats. Let me deal with my family affairs. And he reaches one blackened finger up to you.
Do it.
That is
Let's not do it.
a
We just can't.
23.
Mm-hmm.
How many hit points do you have?
What kind of fucking question is that?
As I hand over my character sheet.
You see Vestra. As Komori's just sitting there like, what the fuck?
No, I'm smirking at him because I know what happens when I hit 0.
And she smirks. And you see her grab her chest as she can't take in the last breath and fall down to her knees and falls unconscious to the ground.
What do you need from me for Fenris?
Give me a percentile die. And multiply
81.
your constitution modifier by 3. I mean by 10. Sorry.
My modifier?
Yeah.
So that's 30. And then I rolled an 81.
I gotta get within 30 of an 81.
It's a big range.
Okay, we'll see what happens next time it comes around to you. But
There he is.
Weird people shit.
now, Sam, how's it feel to be home? As he reaches a hand out to you. And then lifts it and points it towards your face as he lets out another bolt of...
Can I shoot him?
I was about to say.
So when he raised a finger to Komori Kingston, your arrow wouldn't triggered. So roll to hit, and you've got advantage for this and sneak attack damage.
Fuck my
Dude.
life.
Serious? 11.
He
Do you need Snowdrift?
notices the clicking of the string of the crossbow as it thrusts the arrow out of the chamber and looks over to the side, and it just kind of appears by glancing at it. The arrow begins to go wide and shoots right past him. So his bonus action, he was shooting the ray at the firebolt at you.
A firebolt?
Yeah,
So
so
he has
that
Yeah.
it's disadvantage. So that's so the normal roll would be a 25, disadvantage 17. As you kind of see the fire just well up in form, and you grab his wrist and you deflect it off towards the side, just barely avoiding it, and that's gonna end. It's gonna end his move. Those guards are all dead. Well, that last one's prone. Son, you're up.
Neldre knows you have potions on you, so he'd probably think to do that. Unless he disappeared just now, probably.
Oh, what happens when someone drops and they have a familiar?
Oh, no, Dre disperse.
Ceases to exist.
But, well, I just kind of... Silvis, I know you got Healy things. I'm gonna hit.
You were directing to the druid to do something about Komori while running up to
Just talk
Thaddeus.
to him. Yeah. We got fucking 15 and 25 for the first two.
15 misses, 25 hits. First strike, Thaddeus almost breaks his back with almost Matrix like dodge, and he grins. And then you start wrapping your elbow around the middle of the staff, and you start raising the back arm and slam it straight down and cracks across his face. What's the damage?
7. And then I'm gonna use the fucking... I just hit him like... Did I hit him in his face or his chest?
His face. And
Cool. As soon as
you
I make
notice-
contact, I'm gonna spend a key point, extend, to slam his shit to the ground.
Alright,
With a 17 fucking stat.
17,000 pounds. 17,550 pounds. That's how much that weighs.
you start bringing the staff down and you hit him right across the face as you notice you tear off a good quarter of the skin that's surrounding his cheek and his mouth, and you now see the necrotic, darkened flesh that's beneath teeth exposed, and he begins to laugh, and you're like, fuck this, and you bring it back just a couple of inches, start pointing it towards his chin, extend, and the staff jumps forward and drives his head towards the concrete. He's knocked prone, and then he's just gonna laugh and laugh.
I just figure I'd let it get long enough so it could like wedge itself, so I can let go of it, and then I'll use that flurry of blows in a second. I missed. Don't worry about it. One's like 17. Yeah.
And you go to strike, and he nudges his head just barely off to the side.
Advantage. Thank you, God, he's on the floor. I forgot about that. 17 would have been the one, but I figured that missed.
Actually, that would have just barely hit.
Jesus, swag. All right, one hits, and anyways. What the fuck? I missed the second one.
Alright, you strike him once,
So I get one.
and you start bringing back your fist, and he tilts his head just barely away, and you drive your fist into the ground the second time, punch down.
We're gonna do a strength saving throw.
Which is at disadvantage. No, yeah, he's at disadvantage. That's because he's prone, but he's not paralyzed. First one was a 14, which I'm guessing fails. Second one was a 13.
He fails, so now he can't take reactions until my next turn. The end of my next turn.
Cool. So he can't take
He
reactions.
can't do. Yeah,
He's still got his legendary actions, but can't take reactions.
Is that not a reaction? Yeah, it's his turn.
Yeah.
Took his turn.
But at the end of Sun's turn, he's gonna grab onto your ankle after you kick him, and
oh no, I punched him.
Okay, he's gonna grab onto your wrist after you punch him. So hit. He's at disadvantage because he's prone. So the first one's a unnatural 20. Disadvantage is a natural 20. Oh, it doesn't hit.
21 AC with that fucking gauntlet.
Like, don't touch me, ho.
2 of his legendary actions, so...
It's me now?
Yep.
So he's prone, so I get advantage
You
on
notice
my attack.
now that half his face is off, and
He's probably kind of hard.
And the rest is almost slowly breaking away to ash and spreading up towards the air.
Semantics.
You see more of the blackened muscle exposed and the green, yellowish teeth. And then the eyes start to go black, and you see this green light in the center of the void where the pupil would be. And you just hear this laugh begin to fill the chamber and echo.
Okay, so it's my turn now.
Time to bring down the pain.
I'm going to sheath the scythe.
Sam, I thought this was your fight. You're letting your friends do all the work for you.
So I'm sheathing hemorrhage, pulling out the cord sword. And I'm going to come down on his throat with the sword.
Okay.
I get advantage since he's prone.
Yeah, taking heads.
Oh yeah, I forgot what we're asking.
So that's 29 to hit. I'm going to expend all 3 of the charges. So that's 6d6 lightning damage.
Holy shit.
On top.
I got you with some
Sam,
D6s.
do you need some D6s?
I'm using Divine Smite as well, so that's an extra. At 3rd level, that's 4d8 I need as well.
Everybody search your dice back.
I got these now.
I have 15d6 as everyone at the table starts handing in their dice.
4d8.
Is this not a fucking like analogy for handing him our power?
I normally
Like,
don't
come
do
on.
this.
Oh, max. Just
I normally
max.
don't do this at all, but Sam,
Max him. Just
if
max.
you do 104 damage, you cleave this man's head off.
I doubt.
Okay, so that's.
Well,
Ooh,
6.
start
we're on
off
a
with a
good roll.
That's mine.
That's 11 slashing. 11 slashing. And then that's 25 lightning on top of, so that's 24 radiant damage, 60 off of that first attack.
Since you got a slight resistance to the lightning,
We still got more.
but still did a shit ton so far. Keep going.
Second attack,
Still substantial, taking half of the lightning. As you jump above the crumpled remains of the table and jump above the corpse of Eliza, you give a quick twirl of the blade as a bolt of lightning breaks through the large stained glass window above the chamber and connects with it, and you drive it down into the neck of Thaddeus as it begins cleaving through the flesh and neck. And the lightning pulses through and drives through his body, and his feet kick and shake, and then another pulse kicks through and his feet kick and shake again. And he starts reaching a trembling, twitching hand as lightning starts coursing through his body up to start grabbing the blade. Finish it, boy. As you see a torrent of blood spit out of his mouth.
Okay.
Make Alana proud.
So I'm gonna leave that in his neck and like reach back and just whip the fucking scythe down as hard as I can.
It's my second action. Leaving the sword that began to cut in place as lightning still piercing through his body, as Sun's staff's holding him there. And you start twirling the staff around and stop it before bringing it down. Roll to hit with advantage. Sense the lightning coursing through his body. Let me give him one quick save to see if he gets paralyzed from it. I'm not flipping this, but this is what he rolled for his save.
That's a 5.
Plus 10, so that's a 15.
Fails pretty much all
For
saves.
paralyzed, he would have needed an 18. So with him being paralyzed there on the ground, stunned, incapacitated by Sun's staff, it is an auto crit.
And stuff.
Okay, so that's 8 plus 6 is what? Okay, so 28 slashing damage.
As the scythe arcs down and pierces his chest and sinks in, you watch the blood erupt out and more start to gurgle out of the wound in his neck and his mouth, and he's still there on the ground laughing. And you hear the chamber begin to well up, and then once again, you see the shadows begin to encompass you and Sun and Faulkner and Gamori and Silvis and everyone in this chamber as civilians begin to drop and get drained. And then you notice something. You feel all the tension in the air drop. And then you feel a presence of 2 warm arms begin wrapping around your neck. Give it one more. This time, make it a good one for me.
Aww.
Can I go like balls to the walls with it just cause?
He's low, and I figured it'd be poetic for Sam to have this one.
That last one.
Okay.
I'm gonna walk up and give
You notice that shiver, and you start popping up the eyes, and you see this gorgeous woman with her arms wrapped around Sam, and she starts reaching her hands down towards the scythe and starts holding it with him. As he reels it back and her form flows into the blade, and you guys see the whole blade start glowing this crimson red that begins to pulse slowly and faster and faster.
I'm gonna use cleave on this last one.
Sam's eyes glow this bright red as this vapor works out of every pore in his body, and you see the blood mist forming around him. And the laughter stops from Thaddeus. He looks up at you. Don't strike me down now. But give me a week, maybe more. I'll be back. I'll be back in your face, and I'll finish my job. We'll all finish our job. Golthian will have his reign. As you guys notice, the lightning that's arcing through his body is disintegrating his skin more, and the lich form underneath is revealed. As all the false flesh forms up into ash and disintegrates into the air. As all this light of this red and this blue and this lightning and this blood mist that is dancing around, that is causing this violent wind around Sam. What's your last hit? What do you do? This man is right in front of you, neck halfway cleaved, hole in his chest, the love of your life standing behind you, amplifying your swing.
What I do, honestly, before I actually do this swing, it's 40 points of slashing damage, by the way, but before I even do this, I want to pick him up, and just like hold him, and I want to be like, can you, what I was going to do was try to have you do the truth thing on him, so I could have him reveal.
To kill him,
I didn't want to kill him until after he revealed the truth.
So let's say he wraps him up with the magic chain.
That's what I was going to do.
Oh, okay.
I was going to wrap him up in the chain and have Sun do the poke so he reveals the truth of what actually happened to everyone here.
After he wraps him?
Since there's 4 royal families
you
in this.
Begin to drive the scythe down, and in the last centimeter, right right before it finishes, cleaving through his neck. You feel yours and Alana's grip tenses and stops. You see Thaddeus as he was beginning to wince and start closing his eyes and look away. Looks back at the blade and begins to smile again. After all I've done, you spits up more blood. You can't even finish it.
Not yet. Nah, just wrap his whole.
I just step on his face while he's talking, like shush.
In the chain.
Just like standing on his face so there's no talking anymore. Like hush.
Like, can you
Yeah, all day.
Pick him up?
Like lift him up. Like
what's he gotta do?
It's whatever.
I take my sword and I
it's
sheath
charisma.
it.
Charisma save.
Charisma save. Ooh.
And just finish.
Ew. 15.
He fails.
As you start wrapping him up in the chains and force him down to his knees and start yanking back the chains tight, and you see his form tense up and the bones begin to crack as Sun slowly walks up and starts cracking his fingers and gives a quick 3 jabs in to certain pressure points on his neck.
I definitely make it hurt.
And then throws in one more quick jab for fun. And then just kind of leans in close. First 3 had a purpose, last one was just for fun.
You're a douche.
And he walks back. Sam, you start walking up as people, now that most of the combat's done, slowly begin walking up. Curious as to what's happened, but extremely cautious as you see Butcher, Bobby, Dee, everyone else, Altho, Terry walk in.
I'll probably walk over to his
bloodied
family.
and bruised.
If they're not. Oh shit! While she's still down, we give Kamori a health potion.
And then
unless you work
bonus.
Butcher starts taking out a
just do it
cigar
over,
and
okay.
sparks it up, looking at the scene.
Oh yeah, I
Sam,
already had that.
Yeah, I'm
you got your
smoking.
moment.
We're chilling.
And I go free Tiny and the family, make sure everyone's okay. Just like a break all that shit.
Tiny looks pretty beaten, beaten up, but
Still
she's breathing.
Cool. I just free them all. I'm like, I figure you guys should be up here.
While all that's
pick up
going,
Granny.
Sam,
Yeah,
you got limited time here.
I'll just say I call everyone in the room to,
Oh yeah, I'm up there.
like literally everyone, all of the people that have here to been
So
with
that
us.
lasts for a minute.
I figure we don't have to
Lasts for a minute with the truth thing.
No, they have to be moved.
They have to be here for dramatic value.
As you definitely have the all the airs start walking up.
Yep.
And the air hearts. Everyone else.
All your charisma checks directed at him are made with advantage, and you know if they succeeded or failed on the saving throw.
So, now that everyone's here, why don't we get down to business?
Fuck you.
You understand what today is, right? Since you have your special day today all the fucking time.
This day you took everything.
Oh, yeah.
Can't
Really?
speak a lie.
Can't speak a lie.
Not.
It's okay.
I took everything from... You know what? You're right. Today is that day.
You took my throne.
You know what today is
What was
for me?
rightfully meant to be mine. And you notice every time he speaks, that gaping hole in the neck lets out a little torrent. You're not sure how long it's going to last from the blood loss.
So,
Like, I thought your family was your everything.
who was the person you spoke to in the mirror that night?
He's looking away from you. Yeah.
I'm gonna walk up to him and use my healing hands and close his neck wound.
He seems to be resisting speaking.
So, I'm gonna like just kind of quickly cancel. Can I do something?
Yeah. We got some time.
Thaddeus gets 10 points of healing from the Celestial.
I'm gonna take a
As
minute.
the
doing
wound
it.
slowly starts closing up and the blood stops and stunts, he seems to be resisting the question.
Give me some voice.
He's resisting the question, like he's not answering.
He's able to refuse, but if he talks. Now, your thing's a little different.
Oh, stop.
Son's thing's like, it's a admittance to guilt if they don't answer almost.
So, being as I know exactly what Gulthian looks like, I was gonna peer off behind a pillar and disguise
Tell the
self.
truth. It's like, why are you
Get
here?
him to hit me up with some thaumaturgy. and spring on up there like, you insignificant little worm! I gave you things!
Give me a deception check, and it would be a disadvantage for the unlikely scenario that he would be popping up, but for the theatrics and everything going on, straight roll.
I'm like,
That's 20!
Wow.
God.
So much big dick energy.
He's just ripping paper.
It's like, well, that's gone. It's like,
Okay.
no secrets
Well,
now.
don't worry. I had a backup scenario for this.
It's like fucking stacked up.
It's like the
backup scenario
Silvus
was
does
more
some
prepared.
dumb
Silvus, you peer up behind a pillar as Samuel's is questioning this man with everyone's focus diverted on Thaddeus and his answers as you see his head twitch from left to right as he's trying to fight back the words that are trying to escape his mouth. And you come walking out, giving Faulkner a wink as your form shifts into Gauthian, and Faulkner starts working the thaumaturgy and the magics to make gusts of wind and
It's
voices and
Gauthian!
whispers turn. What do you say to it as your voice now gets amplified and starts echoing off the walls?
You insignificant little wretch!
My lord,
Tell them! You
save me in my hour!
save you! Save you!
Honestly, done like, damn.
He reels back, has this frightful gaze. My lord, but everything I've done, everything we've built, I've sacrificed my family for this. My soul.
A meaningless pebble
Just do it.
in a lake!
Just do it all. I'm just like,
Kneel! Tell them!
He's already on his knees.
even
But-
further down. Even further down.
And he looks at all the people that are now very curious as to what's happening, but realize what impact is having on them, so they're just watching.
Speak the truth of the night.
At least
As-
die with some dignity, man.
As you notice, he begins to break and weep. My brother I sacrificed. My niece, my sister-in-law, my family, for power and the secrets in the crypts. To sacrifice my soul and break it apart from my vessel. To bind it to Orcus, to make a deal and a pact, to ascend to your ranks. I gave it all for the power for this moment, and it was nothing. And he spits in your face.
You try. You compare yourself to me. You compare yourself to my underlings.
You know not what the phylactery is. I'll be back, and I will get you all. And he
Where's your
bites his tongue
phylactery?
off. You see the blood start gushing out of his mouth as he spits out the chunk of his tongue across the floor, and it begins to dissolve into
I
maggots.
just kind of drop the
And
disguise.
he looks up to you in shock and looks around at all
While,
the people.
no, while he has that look on his
And
face before.
at this point, it was well over a minute, but I let it last. The truth thing stops, and he recoils, and he realizes what he just did, and he looks up at all of you.
And that's when his
he
head
starts
gets
trying to
taken off.
stand, and the moment he stands, you see his head as Sam's just sitting back there, and he looks at every one of you, and Sam lets him stand up and take 2 quick steps back before he turns, and the moment he looks Sam
Kind of
in the head, and it almost looks like he's dashing towards the throne for some reason. You see the glint of Sam's scythe as in a millisecond cleans through the air, and you see the head fly off and bounce a couple meters away as the body slowly falls to its knees. You guys were expecting a torrent of blood erupting out, but then you see the slow gas work up and suddenly jut into the air, and you see this weird astral necrotic force slowly form and start looking for its direction.
Grab
And
it.
at that moment, Sam, you notice that presence that was wrapped around you slowly let go as you feel it slowly float away before giving you one last kiss on the cheek. And you guys see this light radiate from him as it juts up into the air and seems to wrap around that green gas and encompass it. Sam, throw me a percentile die.
95.
Just saying, the closer you got to 100 on this one, the better. So, you see Alana's light encompass this dark mass nearly 100%. And then what little bit of the light and the shadow begins to break through and seep out. You see one more crack of lightning come working through the stained glass, and it hits the orb. and it snuffs out that last bit of dark light as radiant flakes of light begin to pour down above Sam. And as they begin filling up the space, everyone can now see the image of a golden, radiant woman in a long dress floating down to Sam as she stands before you.
I mean,
Just being me and terribly.
You always sucked at talking. He just leans in and kisses you.
I don't know what to say.
Slide in.
And everyone sitting in there in the chamber sees this happening as a bunch of the people gasp and they see the return of Alana. And they hear the whispers. And then as quickly as she came, you see the light break down and disperse. As it feels like this large weight, this bloodlust that's been inside of you, slowly starts to fade. And you notice the scythe. It's only the hilt. As the corpse of your uncle is there, the severed head, and the body begins to rot, decompose. Oh. Fuck. And we'll wrap it up there and pick things up next time. And there you have it, the end to Thaddeus's reign. But if you think that's the only monster that's lurking within these walls, stay tuned till next time, because things are far from over.